Hi everybody, I am back again as promised with a chicken bone broth video made in the Instant Pot. Andrea, this is for you, and I hope everybody watching this enjoys and gets something good out of it. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Leave a comment down below. I get to them pretty quickly, as quickly as I can. So really quick, let me show you what I got going here. Just like in the last video, I made two whole fryer chickens. We buy these at Sam's Club. This one I've already pulled out. I've got the juice remaining in here. We're going to leave this in here. This one, I still have the chicken waiting because over here on this counter, I have pulled the chicken out and I'm going to start dissecting it. First thing I'm going to do is start sliding the skin and everything off. We pull off just the meat. I'm going to keep everything else on this platter. I'm going to keep everything else on this platter. So as soon as I've got all the meat I can get off of this, I'm going to actually put everything that's on here back over into that first Instant Pot. Those are the first steps for making the bone broth. So I'm going to get this done with both chickens. When you go to do it, do the same, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I just completed the very tedious task of picking these apart. You may notice that there are little bits of meat fragments. Actually, no, thought I saw a little bit more on that one than I should have. That is because I am not the world's best at it. I get as much as I can. My fingers start to dry out. And if it's too warm, it affects me because of my circulation. I have an aunt from the Philippines who can pick bones clean like nobody's business, but I am not her. So this is as good as we get. Next thing I do is I've got some cut up onions and carrots here. You'll notice that they're all large. Normally I will add celery as well, kind of a mirepoix. And I'm going to put half of this in each pot. And then we are going to cover it with water, just like this. And just like that, it is filled with water. You can see the onions and some of the carrots. Got the other one going over here. Just cover it with the water. I did keep the juices in there from before because you want that in there. Next thing we're going to do is add just a tiny splash of apple cider vinegar. This actually helps to break down the bone just a little bit to get the nutrients out of there. Oop. Okay, I went for a tiny dash and went for 2 dashes. So this one has a little bit extra. It's not going to hurt anything. It doesn't affect the flavor. Like I said, it just helps pull out nutrients and whatnot. So I have both of those. Now what I'm going to do, put the lid on, turn it to seal. Now here's the fun part. We're going to go manual. We want it on high pressure, but you can see that the last thing I had in there was set for 45 minutes. The highest number is 240. So this is going to cook for 240 minutes. That is exactly what you want for bone broth. When we used to do this in the roaster, we would actually let it cook for 24 hours. So this is one of those things that is truly faster using the Instant Pots than the way we used to. There it is. That one has already started. That one will in just a second. As always, I have already made sure that both of my vents are set to seal. Okay, so that's set. I'm gonna let these cook. As soon as they are done, what we will actually do is run them through a screen. We want to catch any particulates. Some of the bone does break down enough. You might get fragments if you're not careful. So I will show you, we use a slotted spoon to pull out as many chunks as we can and put it into a separate dish before we throw it away. You need to let it cool before you can do that. Then the liquid that's left, we run through, I like to use a cheesecloth. I actually forgot to make sure I can figure out where they're at. And then we use a funnel to pour it into mason jars, which we will put lids on. and put in the refrigerator. So at the very end of this, you're actually going to see what they look like. The best bone broth has that really thick layer at the top. It's fat, it's collagen, that's the good stuff. It may seem gross, but it all mixes back in when you heat it up. That's the good stuff. So that is where that's at. I'm gonna let these cook. It's gonna be a little bit. We're already getting to evening, so I'm gonna start looking a little tired in about 3 seconds for you, but I'm gonna show you what this looks like. All right, now that it is way too late, you can see that this has been sitting for an hour. I was trying to do a natural pressure release while doing some other stuff, and it was taking too long, so I finally just did a quick release. It was almost done. You can see the time difference on them too. So let's open this together. All right. Actually, I'm going to move that lid so that you have better light to see. In here, you can see the mirepoix, the onion that has broken up, the carrots. If you really want to, you can eat the veggies out of this. I don't. Most of the nutrients have been leached out of it through the whole process, so it's really not worth it. But next to it, I have a bowl. So the first step that I do is I use a slotted spoon, and I will start pulling the solids out. Now, if Sean wants any of the carrots. Okay, so before I got too far, thankfully I asked because Sean actually wants to keep the carrots. So I'm going to grab a dish to put those in. Otherwise, everything else, you're just going to scoop out of here as best as you can to get the biggest chunks out before we start straining it. Now, that said, that is where my soup ladle comes in. I will take a scoop of broth, put it through the strainer, and this is the bowl I'll collect it in. Once this bowl starts to get full, you notice that it's got a handle and a spout. I will come over to my mason jars with my funnel. This is a canning funnel. It's specifically made to fit in the mouth of a mason jar. So that is really nice. Now, a lot of times, I mentioned before that I'll use a cheesecloth. I will lay that across this just to help strain out any extra particulates or anything. I cannot find the cloth it's been a little while since I've done this. Closest I've got is this dishcloth, which I'm really debating with myself on whether or not to use, because here is a warning. The fat in this clogs up cloth significantly. It doesn't matter how many times you run it through the wash. So the only way I've been able to get it clean before is to actually wash it by hand in the sink with Blue Dawn. And even then, the cloth will always have a slight, almost lotiony feel. So from the fat buildup in the fibers. It is what it is. You use that same cloth. And yeah. So, but you have to make sure you rinse it really well too, because if you're going to use it again, you don't want any residue from anything else getting into your stock. In the meantime, I'll just use my metal mesh strainer, which is actually a fairly fine mesh. So I'm not actually too worried about anything getting through there. So now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get all this strained out, I'm going to get it put in jars. I will show a picture of that here in just a second of all the jars put together. And then I will pop back in the morning to show you what they look like when they're cooled. Hopefully we have that beautiful layer at the top of them. If not, it's still good bone broth. That collagen layer, collagen, fat, all that good stuff, just is that much better even. So yeah. There's that. I decided to pop back in really quick and show you. This is my waste bowl. This is the remnants of the carcasses after I emptied everything out. I've got both pots out. They're soaking in the sink. I have 6-quart jars that are very full. I need to let them cool just a little bit before I can actually put lids on them and put them in the fridge. And then I have my 2-quart Pampered Chef bowl. It's full almost to the 2-quart line. So that means I got 8 quarts of bone broth out of the 2 chickens, which is actually a little more than I anticipated. I only had the girls bring up 6 of my jars earlier, thinking that would be enough. And as you can tell, it wasn't. So I will actually use this tomorrow in a soup to get out of the way. And you can actually see this layer forming. That's what I was talking about. That's some good broth right there. Okay guys, I came out to the garage to show you really quick these jars. Now that they are completely cooled, see that beautiful layer of collagen and fat at the top? That is it. I have those 6 quarts in there. Let's go look at the bowl of it too. This is the 2-quart bowl full of bone broth. You can see little flecks and stuff in there. That is fine. This one does not have as thick of a layer, but you have to think too that it is spread across the surface. But this is very liquidy. Now, another thing is not just the good fat layer on there, but if the broth turns almost to gelatin, it's like a gelatinous state, that is when it's really good. If it's really watery, probably too much water in your pot when you were making it, or it didn't extract enough. But this, I don't know, this seems fairly liquidy, but not completely liquid. Actually, we're gonna test this out. So, let's see which one I managed. Mine was almost too liquidy. This is almost got a hint of thickness to the liquid, but it is still pretty watery. So it's gonna make amazing soup, but not quite the full gelatinous state we really want. There it is. Well, it is the next day, but once again, no makeup. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some soup in the Instant Pot with the 2-quart bowl that I have, because I actually need that bowl for other stuff. So, once again, Instant Pot's being put to use. I'm just gonna keep it simple. Just actually use some of the chicken that I made up, throw in some rice, probably some beans, carrots, onion, some of that stuff, some seasoning. It's soup. So, there that is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and it answered any questions. If you have any more, don't hesitate to ask. Put them down in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them as quickly as possible, but also make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss what's coming up next. I know, right? Hey, I'll see you guys in the next video.